The House will come to order. Prayer by the chaplain.
A word from the prophet Zechariah. These are the things that you shall do. Speak the truth to one another. Render in your gates judgments that are true, and make for peace. Let us pray. We ask for your blessing, O God. The divisions deep in today's world, in our nation, also in our state, bring a heavy challenge to these women and men of the Minnesota House. Bless them so that the words of the prophet might become a description of this year's session. Bless them in such a way that in all of their effort and work, truth and peace can be seen dancing together here in this chamber. Look upon these members, the House staff, and all the people of Minnesota with grace, O God. Bless them with that which so many faith traditions and cultures are longing for: shanti, shalom, salam, peace. Yes, bless us all with peace. Amen.
The chaplain for today is Reverend Paul Rogers from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing and recite the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The clerk will take the roll. The clerk will close the roll. Quorum is present. The clerk will read the journal of the preceding day.
Journal of the House, 90th session, 2018, 65th day, St. Paul, Minnesota, Monday, February 26, 2018.
If there is no objection, further reading of the journal will be dispensed with, and the journal will be approved as corrected by the chief clerk. Hearing no objection, the journal is approved as corrected by the chief clerk. The member from Hennepin, Representative Hornstein. For what purpose do you rise?
Point of personal privilege, Mr. Speaker.
State your point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. So today is a Jewish holiday, Purim, and last year I brought the special pastries that we have on this holiday, and it was a big hit, so we're doing it again. Maybe we'll make this an annual tradition. Thank you, Representative Berger. So I just wanted to very quickly tell you about Hamantash, and that's a Yiddish word. It's a pastry in European Jewish cuisine recognized for its three-cornered shape, traditionally eaten during the Jewish holiday of Purim, which is today. And there's many different kinds of fillings. We've got apricot, poppy seed, etc., back in the retiring room. So there's a lot more information back there about this cuisine and the holiday itself. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Please, please eat, enjoy.
Reports of standing committees and divisions. A copy of this order of business has been placed on each member's desk. If there's no objection, the reports will be adopted. Hearing no objection, the reports are adopted. Second reading of House files.
Second reading, House File number 329.
Second reading.
Second reading, House File 1393.
Second reading.
Second reading, House File 1689.
Second reading.
Second reading, House File 1975.
Second reading.
Second reading, House File 2737.
Second reading.
Second reading, House File 2764.
Second reading.
Second reading, House File 2802.
Second reading.
Second reading, House File 2945.
Second reading. Introduction of bills. The following House files have been offered for introduction today. The chief clerk will report the House files and give them their first reading.
Introduction of first reading of House Files 3147 through 3287.
First reading, House Files 3147 through 3287.
Hold those.
There is a motion at the desk. The clerk will report the motion.
Pursuant to Article 4, Section 19 of the Constitution of the State of Minnesota, Hansen moves that the rule therein be suspended and an urgency be declared, and that the rules of the House be so far suspended so that House File number 3272 be given its second and third readings and be placed upon its final passage.
Recognize the member from Dakota, Representative Hansen, to your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Before I move to suspend the rules, I also want to thank, on behalf of Representative Franson and Representative Detmer, all the birthday wishes that we've received today for our birthdays. So thank you for that. The motion in front of us is to suspend the rules to bring up House File 3272, which was introduced today. And I would ask for a roll call on that suspension of the rules.
Roll call has been requested. Seeing 15 hands, there will be a roll call. Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What is House File 3272? This is the language needed that has been discussed in several committees this week. The urgency for this is today at 5 p.m. notices will go out to the contractors who have been working to improve the MNLAR system. Now, we know there's been challenges with the MNLAR system. There's been problems, but they're also are people who are working to solve that, and that money authorization runs out. So House File 3272 is a bill that provides $10 million from existing revenue. It authorizes existing funds, not new funds. It authorizes that expenditure to continue the work to improve MNLARS, to make it work for Minnesotans. I would ask for your support.
Discussion on the motion. The member from Brown, Representative Torkelson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Representative Hansen, for bringing this important issue forward. As we all know, this has been raised as a crisis, but you might also all know that today the Senate took no action. Even if we were to pass this bill today, it would have no effect on the department or on these contracts. We've been working hard on this issue. We've been meeting regularly with the commissioners. I met with them last night. I met with them again today. We want MNLARS to work, but the fact is it's been a horrible failure. Throwing $10 million in here real quickly doesn't seem to make much sense because we don't have accurate numbers as exactly what that $10 million would be used for. We've been trying to get those details. And this challenge is one that has been hanging over our heads for a long time. As late as January 4th of this year, there was no indication from the department that they needed any more money, that they had everything they needed to move forward. It wasn't until January 31st that they suddenly seemed to find this shortfall and then requested a huge amount of money in a very short time. This is virtually impossible to do. And while we are sympathetic to the needs of the department, getting it done today is virtually impossible. Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members.
Any further discussion on the motion? The member from Dakota, Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I'm surprised that Chair Torkelson has referred to the other body as stopping us from doing any activity. We are here, we are the representatives of the people and have the responsibility to consider these things. Representative Torkelson, you mentioned that we did find out at the end of January that there was additional money needed. We have had that time. There have been committee meetings. Your committee met, I believe, on Tuesday. I sat in the audience in State Government Finance today. And I think we had testimony on the record that there were people who are working on solving the problem solvers who are working there. And as they know that this notification is coming, IT professionals are in high demand. And so they're already starting to leave. And that there is a cost to inaction. There's a cost to inaction as those professionals leave and go somewhere else. So then if we authorize the money, and when we authorize that money to hire professionals, we have to rehire new professionals and train them. So there will be a gap, there will be a pause, there will be a delay. Those problem registrations, and I don't think anyone in this chamber discounts that there is a problem. And I think Chair Torkelson and the Speaker was in the room as well. This has been a disaster. But when there's a disaster, we try to help out the victims. We try to help out and make sure that we respond to that. We do that on every type of disaster there is. And we don't like this disaster. But as elected officials, we have responsibility. Now, I think there's things we could do for transparency to make sure that the money is spent well. We could have a hearing every Friday to go over and haul in front of the committee the people who've been working on it, authorize the money and talk about what they've done and present and answer questions and be accountable to Minnesotans. To say we can't do something because we were notified at the end of January, and to say because the Senate isn't going to do anything, we can do something, and we can authorize this. My understanding, Mr. Speaker, there's an open conference committee that is a Transportation Finance Committee. If we pass this, and if we could pass this unanimously, it could be sent to that conference committee, and maybe it would be able to be considered over the weekend. You could meet, I don't have to be on the conference committee, you could meet and you could bring that forward on Monday and we could vote on it. But to say that we can't do anything because we haven't done anything is not an answer. We can do problem solving, and we can be accountable for the expenditure of this funds. It is not new money, it is authorizing existing money, and it can keep those contractors working on problem solving. At the beginning of December, there were 380,000 car registrations that were sitting in a pile that couldn't be processed. 33,000 of them that couldn't be processed at all because they didn't know how to process them. These folks have been working on solving the problem and have reduced that down to 210,000 people. You know what's going to happen if they go to other employment? That pile is going to grow, and more Minnesotans are not going to get their problems solved. I don't like spending the money. I don't want to spend the money, but we need to spend that money, and we need you and us as chairs. You can, as representatives of the people, we can have the hearings and say how we're spending that money as it happens. There's nothing to prevent it. So I would ask and I would plead for us to vote yes, to spend those dollars and to have the accountability to make sure it's spent properly.
The member from Brown, Representative Torkelson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members, Representative Hansen and members. This has been a disaster since the 24th of July when it was rolled out, and for 3.5 months, the governor denied there was even a problem. He tried to blame it on us playing politics. In the meantime, we were having hearings, we were having meetings, we were trying to decide what we could do to make it better. But no, there's no problem, according to the governor. How can this be? How can that take that long for him to understand that this thing wasn't even working well? We had a hearing in Wilmer, and the governor refused to let his people even come to the hearing to hear the problems. The citizens in my district and the people that have been contacting me by email certainly are not asking for us to spend more money at this time on this program. Quite the opposite. I've had many contacts, and all of them say, what are you doing? Why would you consider spending more money on something that doesn't work, is broken? Try to figure out how to fix it. Members, we need to put more pressure on this agency. We need to put more pressure on the governor to actually respond properly and get this thing going, and quit playing politics with us. Sit down and figure out what can be done to move this forward.
The member from Carver, Representative Nash.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I too would love this to work. And I've been involved in this since day one. And it is true that we just had a hearing in State Government Finance, and I did see Representative Hansen there, but he left before some of the more integral questions were asked, specifically around what would you do with this money? Please provide us details. Details, members. Representative Hansen, details. Understanding what this money is going to go for. We asked the question of the commissioner, we asked the question of the chief architect, and they couldn't provide us the specificity that we could actually know where this was going to go. They could come up with broad, open-ended areas, but they couldn't provide us any details. And members, before we go spend $10 million or up to $43 million, I think that we owe, as the representatives, as you point out, Representative Hansen, to manage the budget appropriately, to be able to answer the questions of our constituents that we're spending money wisely. And I didn't hear that today. And Representative Hansen, because you were gone, I know you didn't either, and I think that people want to know.
The member from Dakota, Representative Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We are all aware of the problem that Minnesota has been going through. During the last few days, we've had people from the department say that they have figured out what the problems were, they have a plan of action, and that's where they presented the money to fix the problem. And I think it's incumbent upon us to get the job done. If not, we've been told that a lot of the programmers will be leaving. We know that the letters are going out today if we do nothing. I just cannot believe that you are willing to take that risk. Secondly, the stress, the money that is being lost by our deputy registers, the other people involved that use licenses, titles, etc. I mean, we have a lot of people that are in pain. They're working very hard, And for us to sit here and not do anything when we know there's a plan, to me, again, is very irresponsible. We owe it to all these people to take action and do it now. There is a plan. Doing nothing, to me, is not an option. We're here to make government work for the people of Minnesota. Sitting here doing nothing is not, again, it's not acceptable to me. I want to take a vote today. I don't want those letters to go out. I want the problem solved. We have a way to go. Please vote with Representative Hansen. Thank you.
The member from Stearns, Representative Howe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will say that I want this thing to work also, but these programmers that you say we need so desperately that are getting $300 an hour have not shown that they can do anything very well. This disaster, they continue to make mistakes. When they made the assumption back in November when they hired Fast Enterprises to do the driver's license piece, they didn't hire them to do the registration piece because they didn't understand how broke this system was. And I don't think they still understand how broke this system is. I'm not prepared to give them another nickel until they can give me a detailed understanding and how they're going to plan their way out of this disaster. Thank you, members.
Member from Dakota, Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And on the motion to suspend the rules, why is there an urgency? Representative Howe, you were in the committee hearing that I was in on transportation finance, where we heard the new commissioner of Minute present the need. And I was very impressed. She said that you would work together. I take her at her word. She provided a plan. That was Transportation Finance Committee number 1. Representative Torkelson, all those committees except the first one, the early September one, I was in Wilmer with you. You and I were even at the Senate, a couple of the Senate ones. So I've sat there and listened and experienced the same frustration and the same concerns. And many people in here have either been at those meetings or have watched them or have heard from them from our constituents who participated or watched them. But that was then, this is now. This is now we have new people, not the people who were there making some of those decisions, a new commissioner of Minute. I have confidence in Dana Bailey coming forward and bringing people together and making sure that people are being listened to, and I think that the executive acknowledges that there were mistakes made and it has apologized. So now it's in our court. And the urgency is we have that opportunity to make a decision. Inaction is a choice. We have had testimony, and Representative Nash, I'm not on state government finance. I tried to sit in as long as I could. We've been in the same committees, technology and the transportation. We need to carpool to the next one, I think. But frustration is shared, but responsibility is also shared here. We have the information in front of us. We have that request. By voting no on the urgency, the House will punt. I don't care about the Senate. The question is before us. Do we want to make that choice? And again, I want to be clear, to have that accountability. We have that power to convene. You as chairs have that power to convene and haul them in front and have those public meetings. I would venture to guess not that many of us truly understand technology. Is that right? I mean, how many people here, I know there's a few that practice it, that profession it, but how many of us understand this? So, our role as leaders is to convene meetings, have that discussion, have that transparent discussion and conversation to make sure we have the accountability. The vote before you is to suspend the rules so that we can take up the bill And I would ask for your support for the bill as well. That's what's in front of us. Inaction will lead to consequences. The progress, and we can debate how much progress, whether there were problems. We can spend all the time we want going back to September and October and November. But it's now March, and the decision in front of us is whether we support that effort to continue the progress being made, or we backslide and let the problems grow. That's the decision in front of us, and I would ask for your support.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Anderson S.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, when I look at this situation that we find ourselves in, I'm reminded of Popeye and Wimpy. I don't know if you guys remember what Wimpy used to always say. I'll pay you, what is it, how does it go? I'll pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. Well, that's kind of what we're in. We were given a deadline on February 23rd. Oh, that by the way, we need 10 million, otherwise the sky is falling. And I got to tell you, from state government standpoint, that just does not cut it. Doesn't cut it in my household, and it doesn't cut it in the households of every Minnesotan. We can do better than this. Today I had a state government finance hearing to discuss this issue, to try and figure out what exactly happened, but not only that, what can we expect going forward? So we went through two different numbers. We went through that $10 million number, asking, what is this actually going for? I had two pieces of documents provided to me by Minute, DPS, all the folks involved, right? Go through those documents line by line. And they couldn't tell me, they didn't match. The numbers didn't match. And if the numbers on the two documents that they supplied did not match, how can we expect that these numbers are going to be good going forward? That's just basic economics, that's basic accounting. We also asked, what do they plan to do going forward from here? The 33 million, however much that you're looking at. What is your plan to get this done? I got really nice glossies. I got to tell you, from a marketing perspective, it looks gorgeous. But when it comes into the realistic of how is this going to be accomplished, they couldn't answer the questions. Now, I realize they need more time, and I'm happy to give them more time to get it right. We want to get this right because we owe that to the citizens of Minnesota. But a February 23rd deadline? 3 commissioners signed off on this budget. 3, not just one, not just Minute, not just DPS, but MMB, the folks that do our budget forecast, by the way. All 3 of those commissioners signed off on that budget and said it's good to go, only to tell us on February 23rd, we need 10 million or else the sky is going to fall. Folks, we can do better than this. We need the time. We need to give the respect to Representative Torkelson that he is going to get this fixed. And I ask you not to suspend the rules.
The member from Dakota, Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And members, I just want to respond to a couple of the items there that Representative Anderson raised. Chair Torkelson mentioned that we had the request when we asked for the roadmap. And so the request came up about $43 million, and bipartisanly, which is not a word, by the way, we asked, how much do you really need? Right? How much do you, that's what we always ask. How much do you really need? And the days kept going by, and we actually got that answer. And so Tuesday, we had the Transportation Finance Committee. And I know, Mr. Speaker, I think you met with the governor's staff last night. You were getting information. Private meetings, public meetings, constant meetings. So the information keeps being provided. Representative Nash, when I went to the hearing, I heard you asking the same questions you've asked in those previous hearings. The redundancy of chasing the problem that we know was a disaster. So what's in front of us now? What's the urgency now? We have that choice to provide the funds from existing funds to authorize those? If we don't do that, when will we bring this up? Next week? The week after? The week after that? The week after? End of session? Middle of the night? We finally do it? And all those folks who are problem solving are going to be gone. And we have to start over. So those 210,000 car registrations that we know of, they sit there and they're going to grow. 210,000 Minnesotans. Businesses that are associated with that, the auto dealers. We're talking about people, and we're talking about the functions of government that make their business work. So choosing to delay, choosing to rehash the same problems versus choosing to take that risk and take that leadership to provide the funds to keep the progress going is what's in front of us. And you can have the accountability to have everybody here and outside of this chamber listen to their progress. It's going to take us working together to make sure that this happens. If the majority says no and the clock keeps ticking, we've been told what the consequences mean for Minnesotans.
The member from Waseca, Representative Petersburg.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, I've been listening about MNLARS since 2013 when I was first elected and came here and been on the Transportation Finance Committee for all those years. And one of the things that troubled me back then was how little accountability we had in the development of MNLAR's program. At that time, the person responsible, the lady who's no longer with them, kept saying, "Oh yeah, it's happening, and we're gonna get this done." And then pretty soon we heard the company that was originally designing that was fired, and they were going to start all over again. But oh, by the way, we're still going to do it on budget, in time, and we were still going to have a MNLARS program. Again, as we press them for accountability, tell us what you're doing, tell us how you're going to accomplish that, it was just, trust us, we'll get it done. You don't need to worry about that. This is what we need, and we'll take care of it. Well, here we are again in a situation where everybody knows it's a mistake, and then there's issues handling it, and we're being asked, oh, don't worry about the details, just trust us, give us another $10 million, we'll get it corrected. And we wonder why the public mistrusts legislators who listen to that without getting any kind of detail. In most of us, we would say, when we're pressured to make a decision based upon finances, it's usually best for us to take a moment, reflect on it, and have a responsible decision made and not rush into it because somebody imposes that this is a deadline, this is a crisis for us. I would rather see the $10 million go to the auto dealers and registrars who are actually footing the cost than to a system that we have no concerted promise that it can be finished and fixed. They have not given us that commitment. They just said we need this much to keep working on it. No idea about where and how we're going to get it fixed. To me, that doesn't sound like that's responsible to our citizens, to the taxpayers, and just throwing more money at it without having that concrete proof is not a good idea. So I'm not saying that we shouldn't, and we do need to expedite this. The question is, don't you think we ought to have some assurance for our constituents and for the rest of the citizens here in Minnesota that we're going to actually get it fixed with those dollars? Please vote no on suspension of the rules.
The member from Brown, Representative Torkelson.
Well, thank you, members. We've gone on probably long enough, but Representative Hansen, you're right about one thing. That one thing is that the governor would like to share the responsibility for this, but the responsibility for this mess lies squarely on the shoulders of the governor and his administration. They're the ones that have misled us. They're the ones that have misspent funds. They're the ones that have caused this disaster.
Any further discussion? The member from Dakota, Representative Hansen.
Mr. Speaker and Representative Torkelson, after this vote, it's yours. After this vote, it's yours. We can get into this whole thing. But this is a choice on this vote. I don't like doing this any more than you do. But to say it's always the governor, it's always the governor. The governor, I think, back in November apologized. I think we've heard apology after apology after apology after apology, explanation after explanation after explanation after explanation. Here's your chance for action. Your choice.
Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll on the motion to suspend. The clerk will close the roll. There being 55 ayes and 74 nays, the motion does not prevail. Messages from the Senate.
Messages from the Senate. Mr. Speaker, I have the honor to inform the House that the Senate is ready to meet with the House in joint convention at 6:45 p.m. Wednesday, March 14, 2018, to receive the message of the Honorable Mark Dayton, Governor of the State of Minnesota, which will be delivered at 7 o'clock p.m. The message is signed Cal R. Ludeman, Secretary of the Senate. Mr. Speaker, I have the honor to announce that the Senate has appointed a committee of 5 members of the Senate to act with a light committee on the part of the House to escort the Honorable Mark Dayton, Governor of the State of Minnesota, to the House chamber on the occasion of the joint convention on Wednesday, March 14, 2018 at 6:45 p.m. Senators Swazinski, Johnson, Lane, Lang, and Matthews have been appointed as members of such committee on the part of the Senate. The message is signed Cal R. Ludeman, Secretary of the Senate. Mr. Speaker, I hereby announce the adoption by the Senate of the following concurrent resolution herewith transmitted. Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 9, a Senate Concurrent Resolution adopting deadlines for the 2018 regular session. The message is signed Cal R. Ludeman. Pepin moves that the rules be so far suspended that Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 9 be now considered and placed upon its adoption.
Recognize the member from Hennepin, Representative Pepin, to your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I move that the rules be suspended so that we can take up Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 9, which will allow us to set the deadlines, and I'd appreciate your support.
Discussion on the Pepin motion. The member from Hennepin, Representative Hortman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Pepin, I recommend that we support the motion.
Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of suspension of the rules for the adoption of that motion signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. The motion prevails.
Pepin moves that Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 9 be now adopted.
I recognize the member from Hennepin, Representative Pepin, to your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. The resolution sets our committee deadlines as first deadline, March 22nd, second deadline, March 29th, and third deadline, April 20th. Members, I would ask for your support.
To that motion, the member from Hennepin, Representative Hortman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I recommend a yes vote.
Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of adoption of the motion signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. The motion prevails, and the motion prevails. Motions and resolutions. There are copies of the non-controversial motions at the House desk and online. If there's no objection, we'll take action on those motions first. Hearing no objection, the motions prevail. There is a motion at the desk. The clerk will report the motion.
Gruenhagen moves that House File Number 2834 be recalled from the Committee on Health and Human Services Reform and be re-referred to the Committee on Taxes.
The member from Sibley, Representative Gruenhagen, to your motion.
Mr. Speaker, I've talked to both chairs. It's agreeable, and that is my motion.
Any discussion? The member from Olmsted, Representative Liebling.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would Representative Gruenhagen yield to a question, please?
He will yield. Representative Liebling.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Gruenhagen, could you just give us some idea of what the bill is and it's sort of helpful so that we can know whether to vote for your motion?
The member from Sibley, Representative Gruenhagen.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Representative Liebling. It's a bill that would allow nonprofits to be excluded from certain property taxes that offer child care services in rural communities where we're at a critical access for that. And currently, if the child care facility is attached to the nonprofit, it is tax exempt for property taxes. But if it's detached, it is not exempt. And this would allow tax exemption for the detached facility.
Representative Liebling.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Representative Gruenhagen. It sounds like it's purely taxes and shouldn't be in health. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the Gruenhagen motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion prevails. Announcements. Representative Pepin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that when the House adjourns today, it adjourns until 3:30 p.m. Monday, March 5th, 2018.
Representative Pepin moves that when the House adjourns today, it adjourns until 3:30 p.m. on Monday, March 5th, 2018. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. Motion prevails. Representative Pepin.
I move that the House do now adjourn.
Representative Pepin moves that the House do now adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The motion prevails, and the House stands adjourned until 3:30 p.m. Monday, March 5th, 2018.